Birdie Brand's all-natural bug deterrent is the best in the game of golf. It keeps the bugs away while giving you a bit of focus for those tight moments as the match comes to a close. Tour tested, tour approved. The 1-ounce bottle fits in any golf bag or travel case. When the match is on the line, your focus and comfort are things you don't want to be thinking about. Use Birdie Brands to make sure that doesn't happen. Birdie Brands, game on, bugs gone. Get yours at birdiebrands.com today.
My side of the bag, I'm Drew Hinesley. My co-host, Scott Leonard, a.k.a. Scotty Worldwide, coming to us from his home in Los Angeles. And Scotty, I'm going to let you introduce our new guest.
Yes, well, we have a legend on our hand, and we couldn't be more excited to welcome to my side of the bag the reigning Dow champion caddy for So-Mi Lee, my good friend and my colleague, Joakim Hilton. Welcome to my side of the bag, Joakim.
Thank you very much, Scotty and Drew. Happy to be here.
Yes, well, you did something super, super cool on Sunday. You got the job done. Just your initial reaction, what the last 3 days have been like for you, and now that you're an LPGA Tour winner.
Well, I just told Drew before the show that I just slept for like 11 hours. So that was kind of that's not only for the last 3 days, it's more of the last 4 weeks. I think we all enjoy our own bed once we've been gone for a while, sleeping with our loved ones and breathing out.
Amen.
Yeah. But also I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you guys for doing this podcast. I think it's really cool what you guys are trying to do. I don't think you get enough credit for it yet.
Oh.
You're trying to give the caddies a voice in the space, and I think that voice is not only important for caddies to listen to, but I think more and more people are getting very interested in this profession. We see caddy programs popping up around the world. Legendary caddies who have a lot more experience than we do are teaching young guys of how to approach the game as a caddy from a caddy's perspective, and they're speaking from experience, all of them, and I think that's great. And your podcast or whatever could be a good way out for them to, and for other people to come on too. So just wanted to pop there. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Joe, and obviously it's intentional. The reason that we are for and by caddies, we've never had a non-caddy guest come on, and we do it all ourselves. And this is definitely for caddies, and I think we started this with the idea that if we could help 1 or 2, 3 caddies, then we would be doing something good. And to see it take off and to have some superstars like yourself come on, we know we're in good company. So thank you for the kind words.
We're only as good as the player we're working for, as you know. So
that's good. Let's talk about your player. Now the 56th ranked player in the world, 6th on the current year CME, So-Mi Lee. Just for a lot of people that may not be familiar about your boss, how did you come to get this job, and how do you have the job now?
That's a funny story. My previous boss and me split right before the Asia swing, like we call it on the LPGA Tour, in the last fall. And this was about, classic caddy story. This was about 24 hours before I was going to go to China. Had everything, but all of a sudden, no job or no bag. I tell our mutual friend Jan Meyerling, who knows all the ins and outs, and all of a sudden I have a text from some agent and asking me, "Hey, do you want a job in China?" And I say, "Oh yeah, I'm going." And that happened to be So-Mi Lee. Her current caddy did not, I think, have his visa proper or something. He couldn't go to China for any other reason. So we met there. I didn't really know much about her at that point. I just knew it was her first year on the LPGA Tour. I think we hit it off. We had a fun week together. And then she was going to, do her normal regular caddy from there on. But then the week after, her manager reached out again, and hey, she seemed to like you guys' work together. So are you interested in doing more? And yeah, then on the way it went. So that's how we met, and yeah, it worked out from there.
Well, Joakim, I'm not sure you're aware, maybe you are, in your travels back from Michigan to San Diego, maybe you read some newspaper clippings, but as a team winner, both players can claim, it was their first win on the LPGA Tour, but both players can claim that they were the 50th Korean player to win on the LPGA Tour.
That's pretty amazing. That's cool. Yeah,
And to beat a couple of American Solheim Cup stars, a Solheim Cup team, to do it in a playoff, to be the 50th. And I'm old enough to remember the first South Korean player to win, Seri Pak, at the U.S. Open at Black Wolf Run in the, I think, the 1998 U.S. Open, I want to say. 1999. She beat Jenny Sasiraporn for the U.S. Open, becoming the first Korean player. So I have actually, in my lifetime, all these 50 players, and now 51 with the team championship, have won on the LPGA Tour. Kind of a neat thing to say. But very talented player, as we just mentioned, top 60 in the world. Talk about what that's like, trying to get that kind of player ready for any event, but especially a team event.
Yeah. Well, when I met her, I didn't know, but she had been a pro for like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 years before that. And she had won before on the Korean tour. So there wasn't much about her info about her out there. Even the Golf Channel commentators come up to me sometimes and trying to get information about her, So there's not much out there in the US. Now there is, but how it is to prepare, well, first of all, it's a human being in front of us that we're trying to support. That, I think, is my first priority always, regardless of who I'm working with, to remember. And then you look at the player's game and trying to figure out how to play the current golf course the best and all those stuff. And then you try and discuss during the practice rounds of how you see certain holes. Funny story about particularly Somi is we as caddies always prep and trying to see the golf course a lot ahead of time. Where would they put the pins? What's the wind forecast for the week and all that stuff? So we try to anticipate strategies. Somi is very funny that way. And I've learned and try to dial this back a little bit because I sometimes talk to her a lot. Oh, on this hole is going to be this wind and this blah, blah, blah. And she always have to be a great CEO trying to let's think about that on Sunday. Let's think about that on tomorrow. So she's almost coaching me in that way. So it's amazing how that sometimes works. We may think our player needs one thing, and then we learn them and say, oh no, they needed the complete opposite of what I thought. And I think that as a caddy, it's a learning. Every day is a learning, and I think if we can have that perspective, I think that's very healthy for the team.
Amen. Joe, we've known each other a long, long time. We got started together, and I want to go back to 2019 Stage 1 Q School out in Palm Springs, California. I was working for Jennifer Chang. You were working for Hira Navid. Now, to go from there to taking down Lexi and Megan on the 18th green in a playoff yesterday, what does that journey of how far you've come mean to you to solidify it with a W and a flag?
Yeah, I mean, it means on the professional role, it means that we're all trying to do what our heart wants to do in life, and to get it confirmed, so to speak, that we're on the right track, even in the so-called objective world with wins and money and all that stuff. Of course, it's nice. So yeah, it's a balance of the two. We're following our inner spark, so to speak, and we get it aligned with the world out there. So that's pretty cool to me. That's how I would describe it.
So, Joakim, you talk about your inner spark. You on social media have made a real conscious effort to try to promote well-being, mental health awareness. Your posts are always very, to me, enlightening and uplifting. And you also are an artist. You're a painter specifically, and you kind of, in a past post, you've compared caddying on tour and the work you do ahead of time to how you prep a piece of artwork for yourself and for a client. Is that a Swedish thing or is that a Joakim thing? How you bring kind of that awareness and that enlightenment into the world, which I do appreciate. Thank you.
There's a lot of different ways I could start answering that question, but what comes to mind is I played professionally myself before. Played in college, played over in Europe, mini tours, tried to make it, and never really made it as a player. And then I mean like out to the European tour and stuff. Came to a point where I had a huge identity crisis. I knew in my heart that it was time to do something else, but everything I was or thought I was a golf professional player. Nothing else would align with my identity. So that kind of started a process of first, breaking down everything and then try to build it back up. And my interests are still, I love golf. Of that journey, I realized I also love the deeper part of life, to talk about that spirit or whatever you want to call it, love or heart. But through that process, I started doing paintings. A friend of mine, I remember it. So I was in his kitchen, and how are you doing, Joe? I don't know how I'm doing in this blah 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 process. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he had this white piece of paper lying around with some. His kids have some. You draw with. I don't know what it's called.
Crayons.
Yeah. And he said, "Well, why don't you draw how you feel there?" And I just draw this freaking big line across the paper. And he told me, "Oh, so you feel split? You feel like you're." Yes, that's exactly what I feel. So that started. Wow, interesting. How I can paint how I feel. That whole and that's how the journey took off. And that just I was struggling with. Oh, now I need to be only a caddy. Oh no, should I be only an artist or should I be only a coach? That's not how it works. We just have to follow our interest. And some people do one thing, some people do millions of things. But when you're in it yourself, it's very hard to see that clearly. That's why we need each other, I think, to point each other back to that wise way of looking at it, which is not always easy. But I think it's important.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
answers your question, but that's what I got
Well,
right now.
I can tell you, we've done this show, Scotty can tell you, with, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 guys so far, and that's the most enlightening answer we've gotten by far,
We,
by a
it's
long
definitely.
way. And I really do appreciate it. As somebody, and I've said on this show, and I'll tell anybody who asks me, I struggle with mental health. I take medicine for it every day. And so for somebody to be so public about their struggle and wanting and being so public about being kind to others, I really do appreciate everything you do in that space. Thank you.
Thanks for acknowledging that.
Well, and it's nice to see you. I remember seeing you on the range in Minneapolis a couple months ago, and just you put a smile on my face every time I see you. And there's not many people that do that. And
Well,
part of that is just because of your spirit, that
you know,
kind,
Drew,
warm spirit that you have. And I
yeah.
always enjoy seeing you and giving you a hug.
Well, Drew, that does not come from me. That's mutual.
Hmm.
That's we.
I love it. Well, I love
Hmm.
it, guys.
Too.
We're
We're
connecting here on
there.
Tuesday morning. Joe, I want to fast forward and go back to the Sunday. I didn't know that you play alternate shot in a playoff because no one's ever been in a playoff at that golf tournament before. Did you guys know it was going to be alternate shot if it was a playoff? And then number two, how did you and Nate and the rest of the team, obviously Nate caddies for Jin Hee M, longtime caddy for Hannah Green, did you guys always knew that if it was a playoff that you guys would be hitting the shot on number 18?
So Nate and I were starting to discuss it a little bit, actually on the course beforehand.
Okay.
Obviously, they did not know about this. They being but there was no official information about it. Maybe there were. We're focusing on.
Like I said, I didn't know what would be ultimate shot.
However, once we found out they're signing the scorecards. The rules official comes up to us and informs us of what we're going to do. Then we kind of officially find out. And then we discuss, Nate and I, being Jin Hee's caddy, if they end up asking us, what do we suggest? Who do we think should hit the first shot, vice versa? And first we go to, should we just do what we did when we played the alternate shot, during the tournament? Should we go what it feels right now? Who's hot today? So we Jin Hee had been putting a tiny bit better during the final round. Yes, Somi made some clutch putts in the end, so we knew she was kind of hot too. So it was kind of a hard decision, but what we ended up agreeing on, it was a perfect number for Somi on 18. So I felt, as a caddy, super confident of just, we can hit, no problem. We have the club, we just hit it, And Nate and I agreed, if they end up asking us, Somi hits the shot, Jin Hee makes the putt or hits the putt, and that, and then we don't know. They might ask us, they may not. But we both were on the same, stance, so we could be calm and certain for our players if they end up asking us. We start walking back to the 18th tee, which is unusual in playoff. They usually take the golf cart out. But it was nice because we could kind of.
It's only about 150 yards there, Joe.
I was going to say, for those that are listening that don't know, the course there in Midland, Michigan, it's a par 3 at the Dow of Great Lakes Invitational. It's a par 3, and it's set right there along the clubhouse. It's a beautiful scene, 150 yards, an island green. There's people on the ground. There's people on all the levels of the clubhouse. There's hospitality behind the tee, behind the green. It's really a cool amphitheater setting, isn't it?
It's a great finishing for the players, yes, but also, mostly important for the fans and the members of the club of Midland Country Club to see. You can see so many holes from one spot. Okay, back to when we're walking back to the 18th tee. We can it was nice to walk. We could sense what our players were thinking and feeling. And I think Nate asked, so how are we playing this? And both Jin Hee and Somi is looking at each other, looking at us, and they're like, we don't really know. We can't, we don't know. No one wants to take the charge. And then, so we stay quiet. We, only if they ask. So they asked finally, like, what do you think? What do you think? Nate and I both look at each other, and we kind of saying in at the same time, pointing to Somi and me, we hit, you putt. And then that's what we did. So I'm glad Nate and I was talking about it before time, so we could do that. And they liked it, so we just went on that.
Well, and I like what your partner said when they asked her about, the winning putt. She said, if I was on my own, I would not have made it, but we are a great team. And I'm sure that was probably cultivated all week long of everybody just kind of doing what's best for the team and helping out. That's how you get a victory, but usually it's just you and your player. It's kind of nice having a couple other people to help you along the way, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's a little different than playing by yourself, but it's definitely, we all know that even playing by yourself, there is a team behind each player. But this make it more appearing as a team. But in some ways, it's also a little bit easier. You can, if it's a good team, after each shot, you kind of comment to each other all the time. And mostly it is to release tension or release burden, or just like, that's okay, that's fine, just keep going. Nice shot. Even if it wasn't, you can see if the players have a shot or not. But regardless of the outcome, you always trying to like push a little confidence in there just to keep going. Yeah. So it's nice. It's nice. It's a lot of fun to play a team event for sure. And fortunately, I mean, we had both Somi and Jinhee are similar in a sense. They're not loud people. Their personalities are very, calm and nice, and they both are there to work on their game and enjoy their game and try to do as best as they can. They're not really worried about all the other stuff that goes around, and which is a very nice environment to be in, because it helps you as a caddy to also, oh yeah, this is why we're here. We're not worrying about other stuff. So I think that helps. They help their caddies improve their caddying, I feel.
How has, because this is always the debate that I have in my mind, as I'm always, and comes from a conversation I had with Ricky Fowler, where the player views what they're trying to do one way and the caddy views it the other. Caddy usually being black and white strategic, player always kind of trying to manage emotions, trying to get the ball as close as possible no matter the risk, because they're trying to score. How does being a former player help you as a professional caddy?
I mean, it obviously helps. One specific thing that comes up, it kind of helps sometimes where you can see the lie. Like, this is a very specific answer now, but where you can see how the ball lies in the rough, or if there's a little, like, it doesn't have to be super uphill or super downhill of the lie. Just a tiny bit uphill is going to make this 9-iron go a lot shorter, for example, and much higher. So if there's downwind, that shot might go longer. If it's into the wind, that might go the club and a half shorter. So just those specific, I think it's valuable to have played, to know how a fade or a low or high draw feels like in certain winds. I think that's the golf part. And then obviously the emotional part. You can, just because you feel something, but it can also get in the way of helping a player if you have played yourself, because I can assume that, oh, I always felt like this when I played at this certain holes, so Somi is going to feel the same, but that is not true at all. So I almost have to remind myself more of that than just being confident that, oh, I played, so therefore I know how you're going to play. Well, for me, it's very easy to break that down. I didn't make it on the PGA Tour as a pro, so what do I have to offer as a player, right? So I can just be a caddy, which I enjoy being. So it's not hard for me, but I can see it can go both ways. Overall, I think it's an asset to have played in some ways, or I'm going to take that standpoint because that makes me feel better. So yeah.
Yeah. Joe, Somi's played great all year, starting in Saudi. Like I said, up to number 6 on the current year CME rankings. Did you feel like a win was coming?
I could show you some text message, but I'm not going to. I guess I did, because we've been talking about it, not only with Somi. We actually had a conversation. Our kind of first player caddy, a little deeper conversation. She gave me some feedback after our third round at KPMG the week beforehand. We finished bogey, which I understand is very frustrating, just the result. So it could have been a little bit of that too. But she gave me some feedback on, and really made her vision clear to me that I'm not here to finish top 10. We don't ever need to protect my score, regardless of how good I'm playing, especially if we're in the lead or on the hunt. I want you to be fully aware that I'm okay making bogeys as long as we play aggressive. So you don't have to try and play smart when we're trying to win, which is probably a big help for me to hear from my player, because it's almost like if she was leading a company, which is she's kind of is, the CEO lines out the vision, and all of a sudden the employees can work towards that. That's how I felt when I got the feedback from her at KPMG. I was like awakened to, wow, yeah, this is her vision. Wow. So she was definitely, I feel like, yeah, she's been knocking on the door for sure. Even stating out loud, we are here to win. Yes, maybe might be surprised that it came quick, but then she's been knocking for a few weeks before, as you said. So, however, I haven't won as a caddy before, so I don't know exactly how it would feel if it gets close enough. So, I don't know.
Well, that being said, how would you rate your performance emotionally, mentally, even physically, how you handled everything? Because I can tell you, when you get under pressure, your body, your hand may shake, the hair may stand up on your arms. I mean, things actually change. People don't understand that your brain, there's certain signals in your brain that are either there's too much dopamine going through, or maybe there's not enough. Whatever the case may be, there are physical changes that happen when you're in such a heightened, intense environment. How do you think you handled that, being your first time down that path?
So here I feel like there comes a value of my own process that I've gone through with identity crisis. I feel like this is a very valuable thing to remind myself when I get into those situations. I may feel what you're talking about, that the pressure and all that stuff comes, but I'm trying my best to remember that feelings come and go. And they don't have the power that they seem to be having over us. So that's how I, on my own kind of journey, cope with it, you may say. Remember,
Joakim, my philosophy, I have what I call the 30,000-foot view. When I get into an intense situation, and typically we're playing in metropolitan areas, so there's an airport nearby, and I will try to find an airplane up in the sky. And I'll say, what is the guy in 34B doing right now? Does he care this is important to me? And for me, that just brings it down, brings all the anxiety, all the pressure down. And then I'm able to go, as you say, go back to my process and just simply provide clear information, try to provide sound judgment, sound decision making. And by kind of just realizing that I'm just a little speck on this big planet, I take some of the pressure off of myself by trying to diffuse my own self-importance and say, hey, yeah, this is important to me, but that guy in 34B, he doesn't even know I exist. So let's just do the best job we can, and we'll take the result, whatever it may be. That's my 30,000-foot view.
Yeah. And we all have, I believe we all have our own ways of dealing with, and there's going to be sometimes, when you don't see it that clearly. So you may not even have the capability or opportunity in the moment to take that 360 view that you're talking about. You may be so into it, so you just make mistakes and literally fuck up, and that's okay too, because then you learn it, and next time you can, if I go back to Somi, we've had some practice this year of being in the final group over the weekend. And I feel like every time it has gone a little bit better. So I feel like this time it went all the way. So which I feel, it's building up to it, and I feel like I think she have felt that too. I think we've been on the same kind of path there.
So you're someone that has done it on every level. Like I said, we started in 2019 at Q School, and some ups, some downs. You talked about it in your opening, but what would you say has been your key just to stay in it and stay with it and done the
Mm.
hard work now? Because I think we have a lot of caddies that watch this, and I think some people give up. And what would be your reasoning that got you there and got you to the point where you were able to have a victory on Sunday as a caddy?
Yeah, I think what you call giving up, I think it's more life showing that you want to do something else. You rather want to do something else. So that's kind of giving up. That's how I see it.
Sure.
I feel like, again, it's been helpful on my journey to have setbacks and struggles before on a life level. My mom passed away when I was 22. I kind of left the US college scene in the middle of a good school program and scholarship and stuff, and went back to Sweden. No one understood why. I probably didn't understand why either myself. It was just this, I had to go home, and then not being able to play professionally as I wanted to. Like, I feel like our setbacks are things that we learn more of than our wins. But I think it comes back to reflecting. I've reflected a lot, and I kind of have an idea of what I want to do. So I'll just try and do that. That it may sound simple, and then I guess hope it works out.
Yeah.
I have no. My wife and I talk about this a lot. Actually, this is a good question. We are in the middle of buying a house. We're in the process of buying a house, and when you're making a big transition in your life, I feel like you get to ultimatums comes up. We may together decide we want to do this. On the first level, it sounds great. Yeah, we're aligned, right? We want to do this. Okay, but where do we want to live? What type of house? How much money are we going to spend? Blah, blah, blah. There's so many things that comes then that we have to, are we agreement on this? Or are we, so when you go for what you want, it's not an easy ride just straight through. It's always a road that goes. It's almost like daily you have an opportunity to keep going or not keep going. And you'll find out what you actually want while you're walking. It's almost like you may think you want something and then you turn left because you thought you wanted to go left. And then when you turn left, then you have to turn again. Then you have, like a daily. So I think if your daily reflection is kind of nice and important, I think. And then by that, I feel like I'm finding out daily of what I want to do. We can wake up tomorrow and have a completely different idea what you want to do. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Wins usually help buy a lot of expensive things, so I think you.
Yeah, down payment's a little easier to fund right now, isn't it?
It's the win was a very good timing. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Like Joe, I think you're one of the most popular people on tour, most well-liked folks. Every time I say, "Hey, I'm staying with Joe," people are like, "Oh, I love Joe," or people just, you make people laugh. You're encouraging. Who's the coolest person that's reached out to you after the win? You don't have to say. You don't have to say me.
The first person who reached out to me after the win is also the coolest, and the only thing he texted me was a fist bump, and that fist bump between us means a lot. And this is Garrett Kramer is his name. He was my kind of mentor and friend through my lowest points in life, and we know each other's in and out, and he may not mean much for you, or you even may even know him, but for me, he's been a big support through lows, and him texting regardless of what it is in a high too means that he understands the whole me, not only my lows, but now he can also celebrate my highs, which is wonderful.
I really thought, as enlightened as you are, Joakim, I really thought you were going to say it was the Dalai Lama. That was the one you thought was the coolest fist bump, but I get it. Your friend highs and lows, that makes sense. But the Dalai Lama, that was probably a cool text as well.
It would be if he cares about it. I don't know if he does.
All right, so both of you guys getting ready to head across the Atlantic, back closer to home for you, Joakim, a little further for you, Scotty, for the European swing, the AIG Women's Open, and several other events. Both of you guys going over there with a victory already under your belt here domestically in the United States. What are our expectations going over playing a major championship? Playing a couple.
Joe, go ahead.
One in Evian and one in the British Isles.
You want me to go first, Scotty, or
Spend it? Go ahead. You're the guest.
All right. France, which is the first major there, has actually. This may surprise some of caddies out there, but that's actually my favorite week of the year. I know a lot of people don't like the golf course, but there are so many things outside the golf course that goes into a week. I love being in Europe during the summer. I love swimming in this Evian lake. I love the food there. I love the small town. We fly into Geneva, take a shot. Yeah, I like this week. And I don't mind the golf course. I can see it. It's a major, supposed to be tough. And it is a tough walk. There are some certain holes where we have our idea. So it could be built a certain way. But every golf course has some of that to it. That's why I love France. What do you think about France, Scotty?
I'm with you. I think the golf course gets a bad rap. The 17th hole is a very bad hole. I don't think it's defendable. But other than that, I think it's 17 really good holes. The week as a whole, I'd rather do without the shuttles and I'll just say that. I don't want to diss on the French people on a public podcast, but
typical American who wants to have full control of his schedule at all times.
You're on their time, you're not on your time. I'll say that.
You're exactly right.
And they'll leave when they leave, and they'll come get you when they come get you. And they'd rather smoke a cigarette sometimes than be on time. So it's not the best culinary spot, not the best place to eat. A lot of pizza that week.
Again, typical American view of a European town. I'm sure Joakim can find you plenty of spots. Maybe you guys need to room together in Evian. Maybe he can take you around, give you a little more culinary view of the place.
The beer garden's great.
All right, so let's move on to the AIG Women's Open. What are we expecting?
So it's played. The AIG is played in Wales this year. It's a core called Port. Maybe you guys need to help me here. What's the name of the golf course again?
Royal Port Crawley.
Port Crawley. That's right.
Port Crawley.
Yeah, I have been, since being from Europe originally, I've been to most European countries, but I've never been to Wales. So I'm very excited to just go to Wales. And I'm sure I looked at the map and looked at the website of the course, and being next to the ocean and close to, it's going to be links. It's going to be amazing.
Well, you
love that type of.
Yeah, Joakim, you make your home in San Diego. Scotty makes his home in Los Angeles. I will tell you, going to the southwest corner of England and the British Isles is slightly different temperature and weather than what you guys deal with in the southwest corner of the United States. Just a little heads up.
75 and no wind?
No.
Yeah, I've not been to Port Qual. I know the seniors played there 4 years ago, and the only thing I know is it blows like crazy. It's gonna blow like 30 every day. So that will be fun.
Yeah, when
But
you're flying over, just think about this. When you're flying over, you'll probably have a layover at some East Coast city, New York, Washington, D.C., maybe even Detroit, and then you'll get across the ocean, and it's going to take you 2 hours less getting there than it is coming home. That's the wind that's blowing you across the ocean. That's the
uh,
jet stream going basically from Newfoundland and St. John's in Canada, blowing basically straight to Porthcawl. So that's what you guys get to face all week. Aren't you excited?
Well, I was about to say, if it's going to blow like that, I think we're all pretty prepared after KPMG, which had some pretty strong wins as well. But I think it's part of, I mean, that's kind of what but it's kind of what I enjoy being in there in Scotland and on the British Isles.
I do too.
Golf courses are built to have wind. You know, it's, you can, it's, yeah, they're built for wind. So it's,
all I know
It's
is my
funny.
my
I was out with a buddy of mine at a coastal tournament, and he was talking about his dad subbed in for a tournament. I couldn't make it, and his dad was talking about the wind was really nice because it was keeping the bugs away. And he was like, Dad, obviously you don't play professional golf because no pro golfer is asking for wind to keep the bugs away. Like that's the worst, especially at a coastal course, right? Where you're just
yeah.
completely exposed. But that is what links golf and the Open Championship should be, in my opinion. That's a week where that's part of the challenge and the variability of it, where it could help you all 18 holes, or it could hurt you all 18 holes. That's part of the draw. That's part of the challenge. I love that.
I like desert golf. I like 75 and dome golf and firing at pins and
What a Scrooge. What a Scrooge. Joakim, I'm betting on
well,
your player over
LA
Scotty's player when it comes to
L,
the Open
LA
Championship.
LA was pretty good. That's all I'm saying, right, Joe?
it was. I mean, obviously, yeah, it was a good week. Yeah. No, but it's going to be fun. I mean, AIG, they always do a very good job of the tournament too. So we know we're going to a high level organized tournament, which is also very nice. You know, we're
Yeah.
sometimes when you're out this in this caddy world, just we get to eat with our players on the LPGA Tour, which is amazing compared to other tours. Sometimes it's easy to start complaining. And we have to remember we're living a very privileged life, in my opinion. And being able to go to all these amazing golf courses when also they are in the absolute best shape. So going to a major championship at the home of golf with AIG as the organizer, it's going to be amazing, regardless of how much wind it's going to blow.
Well, before we go, final thoughts, Joakim, on the win and just what that means for you. This journey that you're on, as you've spoken about. Again, I think you're one of those like me. It's the journey's more important than the destination. You learn so much more that way, and you're so more in tune with where you are at that moment. Talk about how this part of the journey, how it's maybe a dream come true, or what you're really learning these last few days.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited. It's very cool to be winning. I have observed it, from other caddies. Oh, they win there with their player. They're there. And now I was on the other side of the spectrum, like standing in it and looking out, so to speak. And then you have all these assumptions of how that feels, right? And sometimes you're there, it feels exactly what you thought it would feel, and sometimes it feels completely different. For me, I would say it was a little bit of both. I was able to standing on the green, waiting on them to putt. I actually glimpsed up and like, wow, okay, I'm in this right now. It's pretty cool. I was kind of enjoying it. But I was also a little bit nervous, because we're in the playoff. It's a lot of people watching, and it's fun. Most of all, I'm excited. I'm excited to keep going, learning more, because um, there's always stuff to learn. That's the cool part. Like, you can always, after a
Mm.
round. I try to do this on a daily basis when we play, especially a tournament round, and go through maybe not the shot that Somi hit, but more how my caddy process was for each shot. Like, in what order did I say things? Were they was that the order that made the decision better or worse? Could I have changed, what I said when I said it? Should I have stayed just completely quiet, or should I have
Mm.
spoken more? Here's something that comes up that I think there's so many times where I haven't gotten things that I could say in a situation, but I've held back because I felt I don't know if I can, you know. But the more I comes in, the more I've learned that that's actually what's needed, or that's what. So another, we're just trying to express ourselves freely. Uh, of what comes in the moment. Because what comes in the moment is usually what moment, um, in my experience. I hear a bunch of other right now. I don't know if that's from Drew's daughter's partying or what's going on.
Good news is, with editing, we can wash all that out, and all the
All right.
listeners were able to hear everything you just delivered.
Okay.
That's too good. That's too good. That's too good.
Yeah.
All right, Scotty, some final thoughts from you with our wonderful guest here.
Yeah, well, Joel, thank you for your time. I know you're a busy man. I know you're in demand. Drew, we got a little trend here with winning caddies, so hopefully we're talking to myself in my next off week after next week. But Joe, couldn't be happier for you. Couldn't be prouder for you. It's one thing to watch someone that puts the work in. It's another thing to watch a friend do that and succeed. And buddy, hashtag winners win, man. So let's keep it going.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
Joakim, congratulations on the win. But again, as we've already discussed, just thank you for being so open and transparent with your journey and your search for understanding your own inner thoughts and your own identity. Again, that is something that, as a guy that was in a former sport, baseball, that was taken away from me. I struggled with identity, turned to things that were obviously very unhealthy for me. It's one way I got into golf, but I got in kind of the wrong way. I was trying to run away from something else. But finding an identity outside of this is way more important than succeeding within this. And I think you understand that. And that's probably what makes this win so good for you on a personal and spiritual level. So, again, thank you for everything you share with me personally and also on social media. You're a guy I do look up to. And again, I love seeing you and look forward to seeing more from you because I think you guys are on a good path. And thanks for joining us so soon after a victory. Scotty's right. We're on a pretty good run here with guys that win, making time for us. And thanks for all the kind words you brought to the show here today.
Awesome. I just wanted to add, if since we spoke about those things, like if there's anyone that happens to struggle with things like that themselves, they can always, just reach out. I'm always, if anyone have any questions about on that part of things, I'm happy to just chat or refer them in a very wise way to someone who can help, because there are stuff out there, and there are people who struggle out there, especially these days. We look out, and there's some crazy things going on in the world, and I think that's a symptom of how we're feeling. So Yeah, just want to put that out there. It's always
Well,
open door here. Yeah.
when everybody's watching this, there's links below on all of the different ways we push this out. Joakim, there's a link for him out there. So yeah, you can click on that, reach out directly to him, reach out directly to us, and we'd be happy to assist and give as much wise counsel as we can in these matters. But thanks to everybody tuning in from the Back Nine Brief. Thank you, Birdie Brands, for the sponsorship. Thank you all you guys for watching, listen, subscribe. Keep watching, keep listening, and we'll keep giving you a view of the world of golf from my side of the bag.
Birdie Brand's all-natural bug deterrent is the best in the game of golf. It keeps the bugs away while giving you a bit of focus for those tight moments as the match comes to a close. Tour-tested, tour-approved, the 1-ounce bottle fits in any golf bag or travel case. When the match is on the line and your focus and comfort are things you don't want to be thinking about out there on the course, use Birdie Brands to make sure that doesn't happen to you. Birdie Brands, game on, bugs gone. Get yours at birdiebrands.com today.